A new era for the Pilot Point Bearcats, and we're here to talk about it. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the inaugural Pilot Point Football Show, right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. And, of course, if you've heard me before, you know we do the statewide show Sideline to Sideline, where we talk 4A, 3A, and 2A each and every week. And we are so excited to be talking Pilot Point football here in 2024. And if you do know the network, you know that I've had a coach's show with Chad Worrell for most of his career. When he went up to Burleson, we didn't have a show because we do 4A and below. But we started doing a show with him 9 years ago, I think it is, 8 or 9 years ago, when he was, of course, at Brock, and then he moved to El Campo. Now that he's back in the 4A, 3A, and 2A world, we're so happy to have him back on the network. And we're really extremely happy to have Pilot Point on the network as well, especially at what I feel is the dawn of a new era, or as Coach will say in the interview, it's a reset to a great program. And we're not going to get into all the reasons why. Everybody that's listening to this show knows what the history has been over the last few years for Pilot Point. But this has been a low point over the last, especially last year, going 0-9, not getting a win on the season. The year before, making the playoffs, but at 3-8, and the wheels were starting to come off. And so Coach Worrell, the hometown guy, was brought in to try to, as he says, again, reset the program. And I think it's going to be a fun one. I think you're in a district that you can be competitive right off the bat, but it's going to be a tough district. And this is going to be a year of learning for the program and for Coach Worrell. And so we're going to be doing these little shows each and every week where we're going to be talking to Coach Worrell, kind of do a review and preview where we'll talk last week's game, and then we'll talk the game coming up. These usually go, if you're new to this, these usually go about 15, 20 minutes. Now, I will say with him and I, we sometimes go a little longer because we'll start talking some old historical games and stuff when he was head coach at Tom Bean and things like that. We have a lot of fun doing that, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking Pilot Point football through the year. If you would like to be a sponsor of this show, please let me know. You can reach out to me, Terry, at s2ssport.com, or you can text me, 469-605-3658, and we can talk about you being a sponsor here on the show. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's the head coach of the Pilot Point Bearcats, Coach Chad Worrell, right here on the Pilot Point Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. Do you have a kid that plays sports? Are you yourself a weekend warrior? Then I'm going to tell you something. Check out NeuroGuardPlus.com. That's NEURO guardplus.com. It's a mouthpiece that can not only help with concussions, but can dramatically affect the way you perform. And the mission of NeuroGuard is to, of course, reduce the risk of suffering a concussion when participating in any contact sport, military, anything that you're doing physical that you could take a blow to the head. You might want to put in a NeuroGuard mouth guard. And as I said, it not only helps eliminate concussions, it helps you perform better by simply aligning your jaw properly. And that sounds like such a simple thing, but it is so important because it allows oxygen to get to your brain. And when you get oxygen to the brain, you don't have that fog of sports or that fog of war where you get confused. And if you've ever played football, you know that's a sport where that can happen. Especially, man, you're in there in the trenches and you take a shot to the side and all of a sudden things are spinning. This mouth guard will help you keep focus by, again, simply keeping oxygen going to your brain 100%. Again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com. And if you play sports, if you have a kid that plays sport, if you do something physical, one of the things that Dr. Hutchinson, the creator of this, was talking about was some people will use it when they're doing yard work and when they're mowing and things like that, where they're being physically active because they know it helps align their jaw and it keeps oxygen going to the brain, which also helps your lungs, by the way, when you can have full breath every time as you're performing. So again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball.
Terry Bennett back here on the Pilot Point Coaches Show, now joined by the head coach of the Bearcats, Coach Chad Worrell. And, Coach, first off, congratulations. You go home, the new head coach of the Bearcats. Before we talk about the season, tell me what it means to you to be the head coach at Pilot Point.
Well, it means a lot. Towards the end of your career, you're getting on up in years. I think this is my 30th year, and to be able to come back to where it all started, and this is a great community and a great program, storied tradition. I mean, this is where I, fell in love with the game of football and decided I wanted to become a coach. So, lots of people here in this community do so much for the school, and it means a lot to be back here and leading the Bearcats this year.
And without getting into all the reasons why, I think everybody knows you're coming in at what has been a low point for this football program. But you and I have been talking over the offseason, and the one thing you keep saying is, we've got to fix some things, but the fandom is back, the community is back with the Bearcats.
Yeah, we've had huge turnouts at all of our things. We had our, showcase day that first Saturday of 2 days. We had a huge turnout for it. The sport was great. We had our Bearcat Club auction Saturday night, and we had a huge turnout for that as well. I mean, people are excited, and people want to get the program and see the program back to where it was, and not just the football program, the entire athletic program, just in general. And everybody's excited to see it come back, and it doesn't happen overnight. There's not a quick fix on things like this, but it's a process, and I think our kids and coaches are heading in the right direction.
Well, and you bring up the point, it's a process, and let's go ahead and talk about this year, because this is a team that last year struggled, of course, and you have some talent coming back, but as you and I have talked about, you're still building up the numbers for this program. So looking at this season alone, what are your thoughts on your Bearcats?
I like where we're at. I mean, we've got a small senior class. We've got a lot of underclassmen that are contributing along with some seniors, and it's a learning curve. We've completely changed offensive and defensive philosophies going into this season, and the kids are learning it. Terry, I always believe this. I think we've talked about it in the past, but I don't think there's one answer to what offense you should run, a school should run. I think it's proven that, you've got people that run completely different offenses throughout the state of Texas and are successful year in and year out. So it's about knowing your system and being able to sell your kids on that and teach it to your kids and having them buy into it. And that's where we're at right now. The kids have bought into it. Now we're just learning and putting a few more wrinkles in each week and trying to get to where we want to be before district starts.
You brought up the wrinkles. I was literally about to say, as you're installing, this new system for these kids, it's not something you just go, okay, here's it all at once. You have to do it step by step.
Yeah. It's definitely an implementation of what we want to do. We start with our basics and our basic formation, and we build out from there, and we branch out from there to do the different things that we want to do. And I would say, at this point, we're probably at, 60 to 70% would be my guess of what we're going to have on before the end of the year gets here. But like I said, it's a completely different system for our kids, and it's completely different blocking schemes, and even just the mentality of what we're going to do on offense and defense is different. So the kids have really learned. The learning curve has been fast and sharp, and they're continuing to do a great job picking that up.
You brought up the good point about, especially in today's football where, teams will run very different offenses even in the same season. But the one thing that I know as a head coach want to lay down is the foundation of being aggressive on offense and defense.
Yeah, we want to be physical on both sides of the ball, and we want to fly around on defense. We want to be physical on offense, be able to run the ball. People think we don't ever want to throw it, and that's not true. We want to put points on the board like anybody else does, but we want to be able to control the clock and eat some time up while we're doing that, and shorten the game sometimes. And then defensively, we want to fly around on the defensive side of the ball and be good tacklers. And like Jerry Jones, one of my high school coaches, something he said stuck with me forever, and I still believe this, that the team, when everything clears, the team that wins a lot of football games are the teams that block better and tackle better. That's the philosophy we want to sell on our kids.
Well, you start off with a tough one, Bonham, 4A Division II team. They're a team that has kind of been floating around the last few years, struggling to find their foundation. And again, kind of like Pilot Point, they have a hard time keeping coaches. But as you were telling me, you feel there's some good talent on that Purple Warriors team.
There's some really good talent. I mean, skill-wise, they've got as good as we've seen this year. And, we've scrimmaged Sanger and Tioga, and we've seen some good skill guys, and they've got as good as we've seen. They've got some good size in their skill, and then they move around well on defense. And, they've done a good job of their Casey Hall's their OC. And, I coached with him years ago at Salina, so we're kind of familiar with each other. And, and they're doing a good job of building that program up. And it's going to be a challenge for us on Friday night, them coming in here for the first game of the year and just depth being a little probably an issue. And but we're excited about that opportunity. We're excited about the challenge that they present.
Well, and let's be honest, they're a team like y'all that struggled last year. They're 1-9. Not only is it week 1 of the season and everybody's excited, but you're not naive to this. Their coaches are telling them, hey, this is a chance to get your first win. This is, that Pilot Point has struggled and all that. So you're getting a bottom team that's going to feel like they're the favorite in this game.
I think there's no doubt, they feel that way. And I know that they're probably, chomping at the bit to get over here. Either one of us, I think both programs struggled last year. So whoever comes out on top in this game is going to have a big shot in the arm for them, starting off season 1-0. And, I think our kids are going to be ready for that. I know their kids are going to be ready to play, and I think it'll be a good high school football game.
What are your thoughts on the things that y'all need to fix after the 2 scrimmages going into the season?
Offense is just consistency. We've done some really good things offensively at times, and then we'll make a mistake or do something that kills a drive. And we just got to continue to strive for that consistency of doing the right thing every play and not being hit and miss. It seems like offensively we've had breakdowns at every position at one time or the other in a critical time during scrimmage. Defensively, we just got to continue to get to the football and fly around and tackle good, play hard. And, we always want to swarm the ball, and that's something that we, are going to continue to harp on. These guys that we're going to play over the next few weeks are big and physical type kids, and sometimes we want one guy getting there to make the tackle. We want 4 or 5 others there to help out and really gang tackle. So that's something we've stressed and we want to see improvement on. And then one thing that always comes up in week 1 games, especially, are the special teams. You haven't did those live yet in the scrimmages. You've taken a look at them and you've practiced them in practice, but it's the first time you've actually went live in that. And, you see that a lot in college football too, that special teams become so huge in the game 1. So we want to make sure we've got all of our, I's dotted and T's crossed in that part too.
As a program as a whole, you've always been really big on, your varsities where you win, but you lay your foundation at the sub-varsity level. And where is Pilot Point at the sub-varsity level?
Well, we're building it from the ground up. We've got a lot of numbers out in the middle school. We have all of our coaches down there coaching those kids. It's like they're varsity kids and pouring time into them and building it down there. And then our JV, we're getting as many snaps as we can. It's always one challenge when you're at a smaller school, is giving your varsity a look on scout team while also devoting some time for your junior varsity to work on themselves. And we feel like we've struck a pretty good balance there throughout the first 3 weeks, of practice. And we just want those kids to have fun and play football without having to worry about, making mistakes. Just let loose and play the game fast.
You famously, of course, started the Brock football program, and you're not starting the Pilot Point program. I mean, the historical side of the Bearcats can't be matched, but it does kind of feel like this is the start of a new generation of Pilot Point football.
Yeah, I think it's more of a reset. Like I said, Pilot Point is one of the most storied programs in the state of Texas, and with 3 state titles and lots and lots of district championships and playoff wins and things of that sort. And that's what I told our kids. I said, back forever, even when I was coaching at Brock and we were playing Pilot Point, even before that in the early 2000s and going back to the 90s and 80s, I mean, I think the mindset out there was always, it didn't matter what kind of talent you played when you played a Pilot Point team. You knew they were going to get after you. You knew that they were going to play hard. You knew they had a lot of pride in the way they played, and that they were playing for more than just, themselves. They were playing for the history and the people that came before them. And that's what we're trying to stress to our kids, is that we've got a tradition to uphold. We've got people in the community that were part of great programs, and that's what they expect. And we're trying to set those standards a little higher and hopefully get back there.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. As always, we want to thank the head coach of the Pilot Point Bearcats, Chad Ward, for joining us here on the Pilot Point Bearcat Football Show. It's going to be an interesting year. the foundation starts now. I mean, it really started in the offseason as soon as Coach Worrell was brought in, but the foundation on the field starts now. And it's going to be some highs and lows, and you're going to learn a lot, but not learn a lot in this first game. You're playing a program in Bonham who is a lot like Pilot Point, even though they've struggled way longer. And every time it feels like they're about to get ready to kind of reach a new level, they tend to lose their head coach. And that's what's happened over the last few years. They made the playoffs in 2021, and then a new coach, and then Coach Ramsey came in last year, and he's year two of setting a foundation. And the Purple Warriors have some really solid talent. For them in 4-H, just where they're at in the district they're in, it's a tough one. But as we talked about, this is a game that Bonham feels that they should win. So they're going to come into Pilot Point Friday night feeling like they're the better team. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Pilot Point answers that first snap. And it's going to be a fun season either way. It's going to be a learning season, and we're here for it all year long. If you have any questions or thoughts for the show or for Coach Worrell on the show, you can email them to me, Terry at s2ssport.com. That's s2ssport.com. And that is also where the show will be each and every week. It also goes up on our YouTube channel as well, at L4 Media Company. So just go to YouTube, type in L4 Media, and you'll see our logo. It'll go up there as well, but you can always hear the audio only at s2ssport.com. All right. When we talk next week, we're already going to have 1 week of football down right here on the Pilot Point Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.